Natalie will be sharing how we can stay calm, cool, and connected this summer, and how doing so can create less inflammation in the body and more joy in your days. Natalie has embarked on another new career as a holistic nutritionalist and health coach and wants everyone to know that they can become their own CHO, Chief Health Officer, without living a restrictive life, both in food choices and in lifestyle. Natalie, it's to you now.
Thank you very much, Loretta. First, welcome. I'm very excited to be here this evening for my very first Beachcombers Toastmasters evening. And who really wants a restrictive eating plan for summer? Which is kind of the first thing that people really think of when I throw out the word nutritionist, or when you hear a dietitian, or all you think is, oh my God, no gluten, no eggs, no dairy, no fun, no excitement, boring, bland rice, steamed broccoli, and steamed chicken. And I get that. That's how it's been for a really long time, that kind of diet mentality. But that's not living. And especially from my point of view, that kind of restriction creates more inflammation in the body. And we want an anti-inflammation eating and lifestyle. And I think that summer is probably one of the easiest times that we can do this. And I'm going to explain why. But first, I just wanted to give you a quick dive into why anti-inflammatory is so important to me. And I think that should be important to everybody in different levels as they go through their life. So 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, which is an inflammation condition. And it really sent me into a whole different concept where I thought I was healthy and eating well. I exercise, and I ate a pretty balanced diet. But sometimes, other things contribute to inflammation in the body. And I think some people aren't aware of how not just eating, but lifestyle can really impact our overall health throughout our lifetime. And basically, I think the whole idea is to have the best amount of health for the longest period of time in our life. Doesn't matter how long we actually live, but living with vitality and full of fun and happiness and outside of disease, I think is what everybody would really like in their life. And so once I found out how much nutrition and eating more all-encompassing diet, I was hooked. So I used to be a pastry chef and a line cook, and I love desserts and making special occasion cakes and beautiful and using all the butter and flour and all of those really amazing ingredients. And we can actually have all of that and make healthier choices. And so I went back to school and studied holistic nutrition so that I could, bring the idea of still having fun and enjoying delicious foods and making them a bit healthier along the way without the restrictive eating. And so that's how I came up with, when I was speaking to Johanna, about the calm, cool, and connected. So calm, we really want to address stress. Staying cool in the summertime, as we're experiencing right now, we can do that a lot with food. Summertime gives us the best foods for staying cool. And connected. We want to be both connected to our bodies and what they're telling us, and to our nature and everything around us. All of those are going to contribute to reduce the inflammation in our body. So really, when I say inflammation, what do I really what do I really mean? Well, we've got inflammation in our body naturally, because we just how our body functions. It's producing cells, and these are these little rogue cells that are called free radicals. And they kind of go about willy-nilly going on in our body. And what they need something called an antioxidant cell to come and be like, nope, we're not going to let you run rampant in here and cause inflammation. We're going to keep you calm, and it's going to basically attach itself. And so that's kind of what happens. The willy-nilly free radical, the anti-inflammatory. So when you hear, foods are very anti-inflammatory, have high oxidants. So we want those, and we don't want the free radicals in our system. And when that happens, when there is inflammation, we get all kinds of different symptoms. And, almost all diseases have some inflammatory component to them. But we see inflammation in everything. When you've broken something, cut yourself, had stitches, down to that tiny little paper cut. It gets red, it's a bit swollen, heat, pain, all of these things are the positive things that are happening because your body is, trying to address the insult that's happened to your body. But what we don't want is the chronic inflammation. This is where your immune system is just on high alert, and it starts to overreact with what's going on in your body. And what these are usually isn't the acute where you've had an injury. It is the things that we're going to talk about, how to address it with the eating and lifestyle choices. So one of the things that comes up oftentimes is, but how do I really know that there's inflammation in my body? Like it kind of seem a bit obscure. And so those are those things that sort of happen every day to us, and we just don't realize them. The indigestion, sometimes the acid reflux, headaches, migraines, inconsistent bowel movements, on the state of too soft, too hard, not enough. When we start to see our cholesterol levels, if they're measured, that has inflammatory. Diabetes, our response to our sugar, inflammation. So it's really sort of the bottom line to so many things that are going on in our body. And we'll touch in on, but these are the symptoms that we want to pay attention to. Because when the inflammation starts, there can be just a cascade of negative symptoms that we don't want permeate through our life. And what we're really looking at is when the immune system gets triggered, we are then setting off a low-level chronic cascade. And what I think a lot of people, maybe more now because it's kind of getting out there, but 60 to 70% of our immune system is basically surrounding our gut. And the epithelial lining of our gut is only 1 cell thick. So when we are starting to have gut issues, that's kind of one of the symptoms where you're like, okay, we need to start addressing this now before things really start to break down. So that's why when you hear people talk about the leaky gut and gut issues and why the microbiome is so important, it's because it's the one part that it's basically almost in direct contact with our immune system. And we want to make sure that our immune system is working for us and not against us, whether it's too high functioning or too low functioning. We really just want it, like the Goldilocks and the 3 bears. You don't want the bed too hard, you don't want the bed too soft, you want it just right. Well, we want our immune system to be just right. We don't want it too high and we don't want it too low. So how does that affect our calm, cool, and connected? So we're going to look at, I don't know if anybody did, but I was down in Sechelt this weekend and I saw the show and shine that was there, and it was packed. It was like everybody that lived on the coast and all of the tourists that came in were there. And it was so enjoyable to be at because I love being around places where I get to see people in action doing beneficial things for their body and they don't even know about it. So everybody that was there, the people who brought the cars, well, my gosh, they love that kind of passion and time and money and energy. And the fact that they would spend their whole day sitting down beside their car just so people could look at it. That is anti-inflammatory. That is people enjoying themselves. That is people reducing their stress. This is the calming down. And that kind of enjoyment, that's why one of the things why I think summer is so good for anti-inflammatory. People get out more. People enjoy just meandering and having time and allowing themselves to just lower their everyday stress. And that produces a cascade of anti-inflammatory benefits for them. And we can see it along with just the fact that summer has long days. And when you have longer days and the sun is out longer, you kind of feel that you just get more things done. And we know that when we get more things done, we feel better about ourselves. And when we feel better about ourselves, again, we bring joy and happiness and we lower the inflammation in our body. Because stress really induces a lot of inflammatory reactions in the body. A lot of it has to do with high stress and the cortisol levels. And the example that I like to use is the zebra in the wild, and you always see them being stalked by, a lion, and there's never a zebra who's like, that's okay. That lion's not going to attack me. I'm still going to just, hang out over here. No, that zebra is on high alert when they see that lion and they know what to do. They're being prepared to run. They don't stand back and fight. They're not the fight or flight. They're just getting ready to run. And so that ramps up the fight or flight. So everything is in the brain, where am I going to do? And in their extremities, because I need to run. So nothing in their body is relaxation. So that's the kind of example. What we want to be in is like when that zebra doesn't get caught and it just goes back to eating. And it's like, yeah, I didn't die. I'm good. That's how we want to keep when we have our stress response. We'll be like, I wasn't fired. I didn't die. They still love me. I'm good. And we just get back to living life. Now we want to stay cool, again, with the heat. And at downtown on the weekend, we've got the farmers market, and they have got tons of fresh fruit and vegetables. And there's tons of vitamins, nutrients, polyphenols, and of course, antioxidants in those, and water. This is how we stay cool in the summer. That's why the summer is a great time for anti-inflammatory eating. It's just so easy to get. And it's so fresh. It's so delicious. It actually tastes of a strawberry. It tastes of a tomato. Different when it's ripened, when the farmer picks it and it's going to the market, they pick it so soon and it's been in the sun. It hasn't been ripened over a period of time in a container somewhere. And that is just providing with a ton of anti-inflammatory nutrients. And it is so much more joyful to go down there and talk to the person who grew this vegetable or fruit and engage with that person. And of course, by doing that, we're getting connected. And we're getting connected with the farmer, but what we're also getting connected with is ourselves, what we're actually taking in. We're getting the flavor. And what I also encourage is the summertime is there's so much joy in it that we get connected to how we respond to food, and we get to see how much joy, like the great tasting tomato is versus something else. We get to really engage with how to eat in a relaxed manner and how better your digestion can be when you do that. So it's really this play between connecting with other people to, as we enjoy the summertime, we connect with ourselves and how we feel, and how when we bring down the relaxation by enjoying the time, the sun, the environment, and we connect with nature and we appreciate its bounty that it's giving us with these long summer days and the warmth and the light that we can really enjoy and be a part of each other's lives with. So I think for me, and I hope to share with you, that summertime is a fantastic time to adopt an anti-inflammatory eating and lifestyle choices with ease. It's so abundant for us and it's so available for us. And we want to take in every moment of that time. And we stay calm with stress reducing activities. We stay cool with the amazing fruit and vegetables that provide the anti-inflammatory benefits. And we stay connected with each other. That brings us joy and fun, reduces our stress again, and makes us less inflammatory. We've only got a few weeks left. So how are you going to make these last few weeks of summer the best, most anti-inflammatory days that you have left?
Wonderful. So interesting. Thank you, Natalie. And now we have first responder, Toastmaster Janice Parkinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair Loretta. Thank you, Natalie. First off, I have to say that that was an awesomely structured speech, because as I'm taking notes and making questions, guess what your next topic was? It answered my question. So that was a fantastically structured speech. Could have been right in my head, so thank you. Okay. See the picture behind me? A Greek salad. What part of that Greek salad that I had for dinner tonight is good? What part of it is bad for us?
Well, first of all of it is good.
Yay!
Yeah. Your olives, you've got some really good fats in there. Cucumbers and the sweet peppers, hydrating. Again, the color of the red, anti-inflammatory. You've got lots of polyphenol. You're covered off. Even with the feta cheese, it could be cow, but it also could be sheep or goat feta. And cow might be potentially, for some people, a bit more inflammatory, but when you go the sheep or goat, it's less conventionally processed, so even better. And yeah, it is Greek salads are a fantastic meal choice. Throw in some protein. Pardon?
What about the tomatoes in it? I don't know if there's tomatoes in that picture, but there were tomatoes in ours.
In yours, did you get them from your garden? Farmer's market?
No, I got them from the supermarket.
Supermarket. They are very high in lycopene, which is great, anti-inflammatory. They are part of the nightshade family, so they can actually cause digestive troubles for some people. That is where the awareness that I talked about came in. You know, if you're having something like this meal and then afterwards, you know, your stomach maybe get a bit bloated or something, might be a time to kind of check in with yourself and be, you know, do I think, you know, if I have tomatoes again, does it cause a problem? So this is the awareness, because they're all good choices, but getting to know how your particular body reacts to certain food, that's just going to take your health up another notch.
Yeah. So what I had in that Greek salad was actually goat cheese, I think from a local farm, and it tastes awesome. So
Mhm.
if you're getting after your feta, finding that local producer instead of the thing in the supermarket is just so much.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's much.
It tastes so much better. Is it so much better?
It is so much better, and it's so much better for a few reasons. Usually when it's a smaller farm or more local farm, they're not quite using as many of the antibiotics, the hormone treatments, buying the pesticide-ridden foods to feed them, because they're not having to support, all of the Walmarts across Canada. So they're not having to produce this huge, massive amount, and they're not as tied to every penny in the structure, where grocery stores have a much different structure when they're marketing to large amounts, farmers and grocery stores. They also usually have more tie to their animals, and also their vegetables. They care more, and really we do see that just that kind of caring and appreciation of an animal or a plant really does help with the intangible of health. It's happy and healing to begin with. They're bringing joy, and then you can really almost taste that joy. You can taste the quality of the time and commitment that you've put in, and it really does stand above all.
Well, along with hang on, Eric, there's going to be a 10-minute Q&A question. Oh, what the heck? Come on, ask your question.
Sorry, I'm just getting used to how this works. Did you have something else to say, Janice?
Oh yeah, but feel free. Come on, ask your question.
Oh, well, okay. If we're okay with going into the Q&A. So I was just wondering, when it comes to avoiding stress and inflammation, what are your suggestions on the kind of breakfast that you would eat when you get up in the morning? And certainly a lot of the foods that we think of for breakfast are maybe not the best options. Maybe not pancakes drizzled in syrup, or Pop-Tarts, or bowls of cornflakes. There might be better options. I was just wondering what your take on that is.
Yeah, in North America, we really have gotten through to the cereal, the Pop-Tarts, the Danishes, and a coffee, usually for a lot of people, with sugar and milk in it. And it's not doing us any favors, really. It's very right at the beginning of the morning, you're basically, overloading your system with sugar, and you're kind of giving yourself like almost like a false start. Because so in the morning time, your cortisol rises. That's how you get up. So your cortisol rises, and it's like, bing, you're awake. So your cortisol is higher, then all of a sudden you've just like skyrocketed with all this sugar. So no wonder come 11 o'clock, people are like, oh, because you've like doubly gone up, instead of stabilizing your energy with something that's a little bit more substantial and doesn't go through your system quite so quickly. So, having more protein in the morning, having something that's a little bit more satiating, better quality fats. Certainly we need carbs as well, but right now we really live in a breakfast carb laden breakfast style, where we need to sort of expand that. And one of the things that I encourage is that we have this idea that breakfast needs to be a certain kind of food, but I think it's because like the cereal companies have perpetuated this so that you only eat cereal in the morning so that they get to sell their cereals. But if you look across the world and if you've traveled to different countries, they're not all cereal. You know, some people, they have soups, they have rice with fish, you know, they have, you know, meats, like different meats or small like sardines and mackerels and fishes. Those are good ways. And it's not, a breakfast food isn't a certain kind of food. It's a time that you eat. You break your fast. That's breakfast. It's not Danish cereal, English muffin, coffee. So if we could change our idea on what breakfast means to incorporate a healthier, more supportive structure to what we want out of our day, which is energy all throughout the day, then we would see that changing from the cereal sort of breakfast to a balanced protein, quality fats with some carbs will give us the energy and vitality that we want all through the day. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Yes, thanks. And thank you, Janice, for letting me ask my question.
Okay, I can ask Natalie. Which one would be better for me in the morning? My homemade pancakes and sausages or my yogurt with strawberries and granola in it?
Ooh.
Which one? Number one or number two?
Okay. So it was pancakes and sausages or yogurt and granola, right? Okay, so they're both great because I don't really think of eating the same thing every day. However, what I would encourage is that your pancakes have some other ingredients in it. So you could, you know, make it with, you know, maybe an almond flour in there, provide a little bit more protein, or a fava bean or chickpea flour. Again, you're adding a bit more protein, and you can still, you know, you can still get the same texture that we all like in pancakes. You might want to add some flax seeds in there, up the fiber content of it. But you've got some protein with the sausage. Upping the fiber would be great with that. And your granola will get from cow's milk or from animal milk. It will get a lot of protein in there. Your granola, again, I would try to get gluten-free oats to make the granola, because we do know that oats are one of the things that could be highly processed with Roundup or glyphosate pesticide, which is very harmful for our system. But then adding in again, making the granola with chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, getting some other nuts in there, that would really add to it. And then, you know, top in some blueberries or strawberries with that. So you're getting your antioxidants, you know, you're getting some protein from the yogurt, you've got some carbs with the granola, but then you've also added in your fiber. Now you're getting a more all-encompassing, satiating breakfast.
Thank you. Okay, so we're good. So at least I am good for probably 2 days out of the week.
Yes.
The Danish comes in at least once a week, so. I see Loretta has a question.
I was told that I should soak the chia seeds before I eat them. Is that true?
There is a lot of goodness that comes with soaking, because it basically brings it to life. So just like if any of you are gardeners, you know, you get the seeds, the little seed packets when you start your own, and then it always says you don't plant them very deep, but you put them, you know, you keep them moist, and then the little sprout starts. So now they're alive. And when they're alive, they have a lot more nutrients to offer, because this is their building block. So this is the little seed is their building a block of life. And so when you ignite that by soaking, the same thing with other seeds and beans, lentils, you can soak them first. They also help with digestion. by soaking these first, and sort of getting their life to start, and then enjoying them. They've got more to offer.
I want to switch topics a little bit. I found it so fascinating you talked about a joyful activity, getting out into the sun with your beautiful car and all the people walking through, admiring the cars, and just what a low stress or anti-stress activity that was. I have to say that my current activity that is cleaning house, and I am getting joy out of how clean and lovely something looks when I am done. I don't know.
Yes, that is anti-inflammatory. Anything that we do that truly brings us joy is anti-inflammatory, because it's reducing our stress. And with that, our whole system calms down. And when our system calms down, everything starts to flow better in our body. Like I said, it's as they say, the rest and digest. So our internal systems get a chance to work. That's why sleep is so important, because that's when our body goes into the rest stage. It's a time where the body, basically takes out the garbage. So it goes through and it flushes through. So if we're on high alert, our body is not doing all of those transactions that our body needs to quiet down. It's not getting rid of cells in our body that are dying off, because it doesn't have time to do that, because when we're stressed, we're too on high alert. We're too worried about the lion that's chasing us. And so we are constantly just, what's going on? What am I doing? Reacting. And you're just ready to go. We need those activities that bring us joy, because they cause us to feel less stress. And that just helps our body overall.
Yeah.
Keep cleaning, keep enjoying it.
As soon as it becomes
good.
As soon as it becomes stressful, I'll stop cleaning and the house will go back to being dirty, right?
Yeah. And if that's joyful, that's joyful.
You were mentioning sleep. We've had talks on sleep. And one of the things that I found most interesting was teenagers needing to sleep till about 11 because that's what their body needs, versus me at 60 getting up at 6 o'clock because it feels good. Is there truth to that?
There is truth to that. And it is so strange that, that high school starts and grade school starts so early, because kids really, they need more sleep. They've got so much going on in their bodies, like so much that's going on, that's changing and growing at such a fast pace, especially once you hit the teenage years, that it really should be that they really should be starting school like at 11 and then going to 5 or something. That is a much better time period for them. And I'm sure that anybody who's had teenage children would probably agree on how hard it is to get them up in the morning. But it is true. And, our system is just a little bit backwards to, give them what they need for their health. And, save parents a lot of gray hair probably in the meantime, and provide them with a good education and their quality sleep so that they can actually, continue to grow in a really good, healthy, positive way. It probably would stop them from being so miserable as teenagers too.
Probably stop parents from being so miserable as well.
Yes.
Those are horrid times on both sides.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Joanna has a red card. Are we done with Q&A as well? Or
Hello, everyone. We took a little off the Q&A, but it's now time for the Q&A. And everyone try to keep it sort of going. This is the fun of the energy of the Q&A. 1 minute for a question, 1 minute for a response. And I'll show the card when we're getting closer to the break time. Okay?
thanks, Joanna. Okay, so now it's a fast fire question. Do I have anyone? Oh, I'm going to start with Andrew.
You must be connecting there. I was just about to put my hand up. Natalie, that was a beautiful presentation. I really enjoyed the flow of it, and it had a kind of like you were talking to us, but it wasn't like a hard sell kind of situation. I would like to know where you would take this. How are you going to use this kind of presentation?
Hi, Andrew. It's good to see you. Thank you for asking. I actually have started a monthly webinar for anti-inflammatory eating and lifestyle choices. So this is kind of a bit of a synopsis of that. So I am using this as a basis for a monthly webinar to, try and spread the idea and try and get more people to realize that you can do all these things and have a joy-filled life. It's not, your health doesn't need to be restrictive. It should be abundant and fulfilling. And that's where I'm using this.
Thank you.
I saw your website, Natalie. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have a quick question queued up, or am I just going to pick on Eric?
Sure, I could ask another question. Let me think. I guess that, yeah, how, I guess I'd be interested in knowing more about how regular exercise, I think physical exercise, in addition to, a thoughtful and well-planned diet, plays into anti-inflammatory effects, as well as reducing stress in our lives. Thank you.
That is great, because exercise is definitely on the list of a component. Usually what's happening in exercise is in reducing stresses. A lot of people can use it for, getting out of the high-strung stress. It's like adding something that's high-strung to high-strung just seems to release the energy of the stress that you've been feeling and really kind of calm you down. So it's not feeling like it's trapped inside. You've actually spent that energy, that stress energy, on something, and it's something productive. And as well, exercise is so good for the body and mind. And it, as much as it takes energy, it gives you back even more energy. And like we talked about, just in the cycle and the flow and getting rid of, the waste that's in the body, it needs flow. Our lymphatic system doesn't have its own circulation system, and that's basically our garbage dump system. Exercise is the thing that keeps it going, and we really want to work on, as well as getting out any of the toxicity in our body. Exercise is a great way to do that, both in movement and possibly, if you get to the point where you're sweating, again, another way to keep that up. That was a great question about adding exercise in. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thanks.
Ida, you have a question for us?
Yeah, so an interesting thing happened just as Natalie was talking about all this inflammation business, I was finishing off some yogurt, and I don't really have much dairy in my life these days, and suddenly I got this headache. And so, Natalie, I'm curious, is it possible that the yogurt caused the headache?
If you don't have much animal dairy in, it is possible. And it can actually sometimes react quite quickly in your body. So it is possible. And that would be one of the things that I, with the awareness that I talked about, is to kind of try it out. Is it the dairy? And just so you know, sometimes it could be like milk versus yogurt versus cream. It can be really that specific because the milk fat content is different. So, where you think, oh, I have low fat milk in my coffee every day, but then you have a high fat yogurt and you get a headache and you're like, oh, it can't be dairy because but it can trigger different things. So it could be. A lot of people have intolerances to dairy, and intolerances show up in many different forms. Headache is just one of the many of them. So I would pay close attention to every time you have yogurt and dairy and just see what happens.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have time for, I think, 2 more questions. Does anyone? Aaron, I see you unmuting. Do you have a
Hi.
question?
Yes, thank you. Natalie, excellent presentation. I was wondering what your thoughts are on the low carb, high healthy fat diet in relation or treating diabetes, prediabetes, and weight gain.
It is successful for a lot of people. And by that, I mean, it can really get their glucose markers in line very quickly. What I stress, though, is that a lot of people can't keep up that lifestyle. So finding a way to, get on it and, get your glucose in line, and then figure out a way that you can sustain it. That's usually always the issue, is the sustaining. That's the struggle part. People have been doing diets for a long time, and a lot of people have lost the weight, get their health back in line, reduce their blood sugar, get off insulin, get off of all of their medications, and it's great. But they don't know how to keep it that way without reverting back to a diet that they find more satiating and more easy to be able to replicate year in and year out. So I love it for a short-term fix, and you want to be able to find something that's going to sustain the health benefits that you've put in the hard work to get. And so adjusting slightly as you go along and finding that really good comfort zone, that's the important next step after reaching your acute goals with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've done many diets to lose weight, and it's always rebounded on me where, oh, look at that lovely extra 10 pounds that diet gave me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, diets seem to keep giving.
How do you feel about honey?
Oh, you can call me honey. That's okay.
Okay. My wife would kill me. Anyway, no.
Honey, I mean, so honey is good. Honey is more natural, but when we're talking about sugar, it really depends on the amount. Having some honey in your tea, great. Having 2 tablespoons of honey in your tea, still not good. So it really is, you want to reduce as much extra sugar. So by extra sugar, because this is what I'm extrapolating from your question about honey, is really about sugar in general and your diet. You know,
Yes.
you want to keep as little sugar in as possible.
Mm.
It has been proved that sugar is very inflammatory, and it's also it really ages us in many different ways. So sugar is detrimental to the health of our bodies, keeping it as minimal as possible. So that's where when you know, even in the things like if you buy stock in containers, like ready-made stock, it's got sugar in it. You know, things that you don't think of that may have sugar, they all have sugar in it. So it's really being aware of all of the extra sugar that you're having in your diet that you don't even maybe know that's there until you really start to look. Honey, having some honey in your tea isn't making or isn't breaking, you know, your health in that manner.
Before we go to Loretta's question, which will be our final question,
Um,
almost.
As timer, I'm just wondering if anyone has to leave. We're going a little over time, but it's so interesting. And maybe there's,
I got the word that I'm okay to stay to the end.
oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
And can I see a show of hands who would like to ask a question so we can, Loretta, Andrew, our guests, any other questions? So it looks, yes, okay. So if everyone's okay, I know Laurel, you had to leave. Just take, you know, do what you have to do. We might stop the recording at this point if you have to go, Loretta. Nope. All right. Carry on, Janice. Thank you.
Okay, so I see I have 3 more questions lined up. Sugar, that sugar count. If we are looking at the banana versus the cup of sugar, or not the cup of sugar in your cup of tea, the little bit of sugar in your cup of tea, what's the difference?
So sugar doesn't have any nutrients in it. So it's going straight into your system and spiking your glucose in your body. So your insulin is definitely triggered. The banana, yes, it breaks down to sugar, but it also breaks down to fiber and all the other nutrients. So it's not quite a same spike that you're receiving. And because it's an actual food product that contains different kinds of nutrients in it, your body isn't reacting to it in the same way. A banana has value to it. A sugar, all it's doing is triggering insulin, short and giving you a quick burst of energy, and then it's not doing anything.
Better the banana than the honey. Loretta, your question next.
I was wondering about stevia or sugar. What's a good sugar replacement? Is stevia one a big one?
So I could go, there's 2 ways to this. I could make you feel better about what choices you're making, or I could give you my honest answer. And so we're going honest. The idea is to have the best possible but limited amount of sugar that you can. Artificial is doing you less favors overall. It's just so artificial sugars in general can actually stimulate your brain, so that, like, you think it's sweet, but your brain, it doesn't connect to your brain because it's a chemical. And so your brain thinks that you didn't get something sweet, and it can actually cause you to want more sweet things. So then you keep adding more stevia or another sweetener, or you add a little bit more sugar into something else. So the artificial sweeteners, I try to stay away from as much as possible, and go the route of just trying to wean down on sugar so that you get used to having less sugar in whatever it is that you usually add sugar to. That would be the better way to do it than getting in with, you know, trying to really nitpick about is it sugar or stevia that's better? Let's go with reducing sugar overall. Yes.
I'm just wondering, when you're baking though, you need to have sugar. So is it better to use honey in your baking?
Okay, so baking is a completely different thing though, in regards to sugar, because sugar is not only sweetness in baking, but it's also a liquid. So you get in a whole different ball game of what you can use and how to use and how much to use. Granulated sugar is one concept. Honey is another concept. Using applesauce instead, using bananas, they do not equal the same in both sweetness and in texture. You can get a very dry baked good by using different kinds of artificial sweeteners. It becomes more complex than sweetness or not sweet in baking.
Yeah. Stevia, it's actually a natural thing, Natalie. I had a plant and I took the little leaves and I go in my mint tea to sweeten it instead of sugar.
It is much sweeter than sugar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Little tiny bit of that leaf.
Much sweeter.
Yeah.
And it can cause people natural. It still can cause people upset
Okay.
by using it.
Interesting. Andrew, I think I saw your hand up and then Karen.
Yeah. Can I live an anti-inflammatory and healthy summer and yet drink coffee?
Yes, you can. How much would be important. If you are somebody that has one cup and is no problem, that's good. Coffee has quality coffee that doesn't come from moldy beans, and has nutrients in it. It does have good things in it. The caffeine is also in small quantities good for our body. No problem. Do you add a lot of sugar in it? Do you add a lot of cream in it? Do you drink it until it gives you jitters? Those are the things that bring it down on the scale. But having your coffee and you feel good with it, that's no problem.
Welcome. Coffee brings me joy.
Yes.
So, yes, Karen, you had a question.
I've lost all of you, but I will. Natalie, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Very informative. My question actually is around eating. I use stevia as a substitute for sugar, and I was advised that by a couple of dietitians because of my diabetes. But you're not really. I don't get any side effects from it, and because it's plant-based, they don't recommend the other substitute. I'm wondering now if I should. Well, going back to sugar, just because I don't use white sugar, only in baking.
Yeah, it's this is where it always gets to be personal, because everything that you read, is a lot of more blanket statements. So that's why I try to. It's then gets personal when you get down to the more nitty-gritty details. That gets personal. So are you managing your diabetes just fine with the stevia? Great. Then that's perfect.
Well,
it works for you.
Show up that it's being managed. Yeah.
When
I talked about very, am I managing it? Not as well as I should, but I avoid white sugar, and I don't only have the stevia on my cereal in the morning, so I don't use it in the rest of the day. It's always a challenge.
Yeah, it is one of the things that people find a challenge overall. And I think it's because sugar permeates so many things just in our lifestyle. Like you said, first thing in the morning, what do you want? Cereal. It's sugar based. So carbs, especially in that form, translates basically to sugar, because that's what your body, when you're breaking it down, it's breaking down to carbs. It's energy, yes, but it breaks down quickly, and then it's forming glucose in the body. That is energy for us, but so a lot of people think that that it might only be sugar, like granulated sugar, but that's not the only thing. If you want, especially if you're managing something like diabetes, you want to make sure that you're getting some good protein and quality fats in there, because that's really what's keeping the glucose from being spiked in your body, and lots of fiber. A very carb heavy, you're spiking your insulin and the glucose is running rampant in your body, and that's where it becomes out of control. So sugar
I think,
is one component.
I think my cereal, when I say cereal, I'm having a quarter cup of Kellogg's Buds with a cup of blueberries and the stevia. That's and I have that every morning. And I like coffee.
And your coffee.
And my coffee. Yes. Thank you for your advice. I appreciate it. I just can't see anybody now. I've lost you all again.
We can see you.
You can?
We can see you.
We can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's happening. I mean, this is really acting up tonight. Okay.
Not to worry about it. No stress. This is low
Actually,
activity.
Can I just tell you about an anti-inflammatory activity? Something I went to that really brought me pleasure was watching Joanna and her theater group perform. We could go Saturday at the Wooden Boat in Pender Harbor Wooden Boats event. So that gave me a lot of pleasure. So I really felt good getting out to go and see something like that.
Thank you so much, Karen. And I'm going to give my talk on it later.
Good.
So that was, yes. So the time went a little bit over, but we'll take our break. Loretta, is that okay that I just initiate this? Five minutes.
Loretta, can I
yes.
just wrap with one more comment?
Yes.
That discussion between Karen and Natalie, it was a perfect lead-in for Natalie's coaching business, because I bet those are the kind of questions that Natalie would love to take on with a one-on-one discussion with anyone who is interested. And I believe Joanna sent out the website, which has a contact form if you wanted to get together with Natalie and make a cool, connected summer.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I'm very interested to doing it myself. This whole idea of anti-inflammatory and how it can help my diabetes. I'm very excited.